Yeah, what's going on? You guys are in for another treat. It's your boy YungBull.
And it's me, the OG. You already know we back in the building for another episode, bringing you all that fire sports talk. We're going to jump right into it today, not waste none of y'all time. NBA playoffs is upon us, but before we get there, the NBA has put in a new system, and we got a play-in tournament this year, so it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. Before we jump into it, YungBull, what you think about it? What you think about the change? What you think about the play-in tournament?
I don't know, bro. Honestly, I feel like it's kind of like I'm still up in the air about it. Like I kind of like it, kind of don't like it. I feel like last year I liked it because the whole bubble situation, but they changed it this year. They added the 9 and 10 now.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see how it plays out. I do feel like, it is kind of unfair. Like you could have a 7 seed team, a 10 seed team that's like 6 games behind the 7 seed team, and they win 2 games and they win. But it's not just a 1 win. I like that they got to win at least 2. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah.
Obviously I'm not liking it because I'm a Laker fan. So
Overall, I think that the league that is doing with it is what they do. They're trying to find another way to make more revenue. How can we juice it up? Like, it's just like the whole fantasy draft with the All-Star game, how it's not East versus West. Any way that they can get another television special, run up ratings, they're going to do it. And if that's the goal, this is going to do that. When you look at the fact that, like, who's in the play-in scenario, which we're going to get into, especially in the West, it's just exciting. It's an exciting game. I do think that it is an unfair competitive advantage, like you said, because a 10 seed could get in and be so many games behind, like, let's say a 7 seed. But other than that, I think it's an interesting element. It's a wild card element. I think every other, like, major sport has a wild card type of scenario in their playoffs except the NBA. So I think this is their kind of wild card round, and I'm not really mad at it. Like, I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, I think that they just did it for the shortened season, and also another factor is there's so many good teams and good players now that everybody just wants to see everybody compete now.
More parity.
Like, so I get it.
But yeah, we're gonna jump right in. I'm gonna break down the play-in scenario, the play-in tournament, how it works, just in case anybody watching doesn't exactly know how it's playing out this year. And then we're gonna get into our predictions. So what they're doing this year is, like we basically vaguely discussed, the 7 through 10 seed will play in a play-in tournament. It starts with the 7 and 8 seed playing each other. The winner of that game will lock themselves into the 7 seed and then move on into the playoffs to play the 2 seed. After that, there will be another game where the 9 and 10 seed will play each other. The winner of that game will move on to play the loser of the 7 and 8 seed game. And then that game's winner will lock themselves into the 8 seed and then move on into the playoffs to play the 1 seed. That's the same way it'll happen in both conferences. And that's how it's going to work out. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. I think that we should start with the East. I think the West played is a little more exciting than the East. So I think we're going to save the West for second. We'll start with the East. So we're going to jump in and start with the 8 versus 7 seed. So we have the 8 seed Washington Wizards so they're going to Boston to play the 7 seed Boston Celtics.
Yep.
YungBull, I've been talking a lot, so I'm going to let you go on and give your prediction there first.
I'm just so excited to see the Wizards actually in this spot. They don't even need to play, and they made the top 8 by themselves. I just need to see Westbrook compete. I don't know what's going on with Jaylen Brown. I haven't really heard the full report.
He's done for the season.
He's out completely.
And it's not because of his leg.
His wrist.
He got MRIs when his leg was hurt, and he got torn ligaments in his wrist.
The wrist. I heard about that. Yeah. So
Jaylen Brown.
I got the Wizards because 1, Jaylen Brown's a huge factor. 2, it's just Celtics have not been themselves this year. I don't know what's going on. And Kemba, he's always dealing with his injuries. But it's just the Wizards, they are hot. And, you got Westbrook, who we already know what he's been doing all year. And then you got Bradley Beal, who's also can drop 30, 40, sometimes 50 on any given night. So, I mean,
second leading scorer. Steph got the scoring title, but Bradley Beal was second. So you know
Bradley
he's
got it last year, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, now they're hot right now. They got it. I'm taking Celtics. I mean,
Wizards.
no, sorry, Wizards. Yeah, my bad.
This one is actually pretty tough for me because my initial instinct is to take the Wizards as well, simply because I'm a believer of who's playing better right now. Like, especially when you go into the playoffs. Seeding does matter, but it also matters how you're playing going into the playoffs, what your chemistry is like. And the Wizards are hot right now. They're one of the hotter teams entering the whole playoffs in general. So my instinct is to go with the Wizards, especially with that firepower, and I'm just not sure. The Celtics have been in a slump lately. They've been losing games. Tatum's really the only one like balling. Everybody else is just kind of riding his coattails. You know, Kemba's not having a like really good Kemba season. Jaylen Brown's been out, so he hasn't had that help. And then, you know, Marcus Smart is just what he is. He's that utility guy. He's going to do the dirty work, but he's not really going to carry the load for you offensively. It's just like going to Boston. It's a hard place to go in a playoff type environment and win. But I think I'm going to agree and go with the Wizards. I think the Wizards are going to sneak it out. I think it's going to be a good game. I think Jason Tatum's going to lay it out there, but I think Russ and Beal is going to be just a pinch too much, and the Wizards will be able to squeak it out and end up being the 7th seed. So we'll both have the Wizards moving on, and then now we'll discuss the 10-9 matchup. So we have the 10th seed, Charlotte Hornets, going to play the 9 seed Indiana Pacers in Indiana. YungBull, who you got?
It's a tough ass one.
Yeah.
This one's tough. Had to think long and hard about this, and I still am not sure. I think, but I'm thinking I want to go with the Hornets, but I really think the Pacers are gonna find a way to win this game. I think they're just more experienced. They've been in this spot more often. You know, the Hornets haven't even reached the playoffs in how many years? I mean, not to say they're not a great team. They're really good this year. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they even make it all the way in. But I just feel like the Pacers are gonna squeak one in here. Sabonis is gonna do his thing.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it on paper, the Pacers should win this game. They are the more veteran team. They are the more experienced team. They were just in the playoffs last year. They are missing some key guys. They're going to be missing Miles Turner. T.J. Warren's been out all year, so I guess that doesn't really count. But he was still a key factor for them last year in their playoff run. So they're missing some guys. It's a little bit of a different team. On paper, they should win. But I'm going to actually go different than you this time. I'm going with the Hornets, man. I just like their energy. I like their youth. I don't think they're afraid of the Pacers. I don't think that they look at the Pacers and see a team that they think is better than them. I think that, especially with LaMelo Ball leading them, he's a confident young man. I think that he's going to feel like he's the best player in the series. And I think he's going to have that confidence. And I just think they're just going to get out there and run. I think they're going to get out there and attack the Pacers. And I just think they squeak this one out. It's just nothing about the Pacers that excites me. There's nothing about the Pacers where I'm just like, how are they going to stop that guy? What are they going to do against their defensive set? Like, it's just the Pacers to me are just what they are. They're just a 9 seed. And the Hornets, they are a 10 seed, but they're an exciting 10 seed to me. They're a young 10 seed. They're a nothing to lose 10 seed. They're playing with house money. Like I said, on paper, the Pacers should win this game. The pressure is on the Pacers to win this game. And I think that the Hornets just come in with that young attitude, and they take one from them.
By all means, the Pacers are definitely not no flashy, exciting team, but they definitely will play old school and efficient. And I feel like when a game comes down to it, fourth quarter, clutch time, they're going to get the less amount of turnovers, and they're going to be the ones to execute.
I mean, this definitely is going to give you a traditional old school versus new school kind of feel, because the Pacers are more of a half-court set offense. play good defense kind of team, whereas the Hornets want to get out and run. They want to shoot the three.
Yep.
You know, they want to play more of that modern ball. So you're going to see, and it's crazy that I'm going for the Hornets because that's the type of ball I prefer is the traditional half court
Yeah,
set.
we just flip flopped.
Yeah, but I don't. It's just with these two teams, I'm just going Hornets. I'm just leaning their way. I like them versus this team. So we both have the Wizards locked in at the 7th seed. The Celtics lost that for us, so they're the 8th seed. They get to move into this next matchup and play the winner of 9-10. I got the Celtics beating the Hornets. The game would be in Boston. Like I said, I like the Celtics youth. I like all their energy. I had them beating the Pacers because the Pacers had nothing that excited me. They don't have a player that I think that the Hornets couldn't stop. I think LaMelo would feel like the best player and arguably play like the best player in that game. No disrespect to Sabonis. But it's not going to be that way against the Celtics. I think the Celtics will have the best 2 players in the series with Tatum and Kemba. The Celtics are way more experienced playoff-wise.
Yes.
They're already going to be upset that they just lost to a team at their own stadium. They're going to be hungry. They're going to be angry. Jason Tatum's going to come out and show that he is the best player on that court, and they'll lock up the 8th seed and move on to play the Sixers in the playoffs. So for your scenario, you got the Pacers going to Boston. How do you think that plays out?
Yeah, I'm taking Celtics. I don't see the Celtics losing here. I just think that they're gonna really check themselves this game. Actually, yeah, like you said, especially coming off a loss, they're gonna check themselves, look in the mirror, and be like, "Wait, hold up. We were first, second, third seed last year. We were supposed to be in the finals, and now we're failing to make the playoffs. We're fighting for it." Nah, I think Jason Tatum goes off ridiculous numbers. They still have Kemba. Kemba's Kemba. It's cardiac Kemba. He's gonna put you in a cardiac arrest.
I think they would have the best 2 players on the court with Kemba and Tatum.
And
even against the Pacers, same thing.
Yeah, it's gonna be the Wizards will be a reality check. They'll lose that game and realize, wait, hold up, let's get our shit together. I don't see them losing 2 games in a row there. Nah.
So ultimately, our brackets play out the same. While we have a different 9-10 winner, we both have Wizards in at 7, moving on to play the Nets. Celtics in at 8, moving on to play the Sixers, and that's how our playoffs would lock up in the East.
Yep.
We're going to transition to the West where it's a little more fun. And because it's a little more fun, I'm going to flip it this way. And we're going to start with the 9-10 matchup first. We're going to start with the 9-10 matchup in the West first. So we have the 10th seed Spurs going out to play the 9th seed Grizzlies in Memphis. Young Bull, who you got?
See, this is also a tough matchup. A lot of people this year sleeping on the Spurs. Sleeping on the Spurs. I believe in the Spurs a lot. I really do. I've been picking them a lot. They're a good underdog team. They got Coach Popovich, obviously. I'm feeling like Memphis is going to come up over top. This is probably going to be a grit and grind. Maybe might even go to overtime type of game. It's going to be definitely back and forth. Yeah. Both team definitely wants it. They both play like they want it. But I just think Ja Morant, they got a lot of young bulls on that team. I think they're going to bring more energy, and they're just going to bring that firepower, and they're going to get it done. And they got Jaren Jack this year. Last year, they didn't really have him. So definitely a big up. I got Grizzlies.
So you hit a whole lot of the key points that I was going to bring up with this matchup. Ultimately, I think it's going to be a very, very close game. I think the 2 teams are very similar in style of play, in toughness, and like culture, like how they want to play the game of basketball. I think that they're very similar, and that is gonna make it a great matchup. Is like you said, I could see this game going to overtime. I could see this, like, people are kind of just pushing this game off. This could be one of the more exciting games of the play-in, just because of stylistic matchup. And I'll say this: if the Spurs win this game, it's gonna be because of Greg Popovich. He's the X factor for the Spurs. He's by far the best coach in this scenario. And you can't ever sleep on Pop. You can't ever sleep on his ability to game plan. You can't ever sleep on his ability to put his players in position to succeed. You can't ever sleep on his ability to take your best player out of the game. So the Spurs, if they win this, it's going to be because Popovich pulled the Popovich and showed up with one of those game plans. But I, too, am going to go with the Grizzlies simply because I just think in a game this close, it's going to come down to that X factor, and it's just I feel like Ja Morant is the X factor of this game. He is the most electrifying player in the game. He's the best player in the game. And I just think in a game that's going to be as close as we're both saying it is, having that best player that can get you that last second bucket, can get you that backbreaker bucket, whatever you might need at the end, I think it's going to be ultimately what pushes it out. So I have the Grizzlies pulling out a close one. So now we'll move on. In this scenario, we have the Spurs done. Grizzlies moving on to play whoever wins this game, which is the best game of the play-in tournament. We have the number 8 seed Golden State Warriors with a red hot Steph Curry going into LA to play the number 7 seed Lakers, who are finally healthy, finally have all their guys back, and are ready to show that health was the only thing holding them back. I'm going to go first on this one since your team is in it, and I'm sure you got a lot to say about it. And after I say my words, you probably going to have more to say about it because I'm going to make it fun, and I'm going to pick the Warriors. I'm going to pick the Warriors. I'm going to pick the Warriors just on Steph Curry doing something miraculous. I don't think that the Warriors are in any way a better team than the Lakers. I don't think that the Warriors could beat the Lakers in a 7-game series. And I don't think that the Warriors have much of a chance of advancing once they get into the playoffs. I think ultimately they're going to probably go out in the first round. That's another conversation. But I think right now in a 1-game winner takes all type of scenario, the Warriors are playing with house money. They're not expected to win. Everybody's going to pick the Lakers, and they should. It's in LA. The Lakers are fully healthy. They're a better team than the Warriors right now. There is no logical reason to really pick the Warriors. If you're picking the Warriors, you're picking them like I'm picking them because I just think Steph is playing miraculously right now, and he's just going to show up and have one of those games and just ball out and squeak out one against the Lakers, pushing them to have to play one more game in the play-in tournament. But I'm going to let you take the floor, young bull. What you think?
Honestly, bro, up until probably 5 minutes ago, I was 100% picking the Warriors. Just because they are just too hot right now to handle. And Curry is unbelievable. I feel like they would blow us out. But then I started thinking, and I'm like, is LeBron gonna go into the playoffs as an 8 seed? Is he really? I don't think he is.
Now before you get too far off topic, because I was gonna throw this at you at the end, but you just brought it up. Now I am a believer that LeBron plays this game with his post-career documentary in mind. Like LeBron does stuff so he can add that to his highlight package. Now, going into the playoffs as the 8 seed and potentially making the finals and winning is a big deal. That's something that not a lot of people have done. And not only that, let me throw this in the play too. Would you rather play the Nuggets or the Suns?
No, it's the Jazz.
The Jazz or the Suns.
But it's not like he could. I get it. I'm still, but if I had to say it, honestly, I do want to see. I would rather see the Jazz than Phoenix, to be honest.
Yeah, I would too.
I would 100% rather see the Jazz.
I would too.
Than Phoenix.
I would too. So who you got?
Fuck.
You on wax right now. So what you call it? You riding with your team, or you riding with your gut? Because your gut right now looks like it's telling you Warriors.
Oh yeah.
But are you going to ride with your team over your gut? Because sometimes you got to do that.
I'm going with the MVP, Steph Curry.
Going with the MVP.
That was my decision. The only
right there. That's a double statement right there.
Yeah, it
we'll
is.
Get to that MVP talk a little later.
Yeah,
but
the Warriors are on the whole other level than the Lakers are. The Warriors are in their motion already. They're going the cars and drive. They're already on the highway. They're dipping already. The Lakers are still trying to merge onto the highway. It's, you know what I'm saying? They're still trying. They got their blinker on, still trying to squeeze in there, still trying to flow. I mean, LeBron just came back last game. Anthony Davis been back, but Andre Drummond, they still got to flow. I feel like this one game it'll be like they'll work on their chemistry this game. They'll probably lose by like the single digit points. Next game, they'll steamroll the Grizzlies, and then they'll be all right. They'll be good. They'll be good going into the playoffs. I ain't worried about my team. I ain't worried.
There you go. So you picked the
I think we're gonna lose. Yeah, I'm picking the Warriors, but I ain't worried about the
So
Lakers.
you got the Warriors going into the 7th seed to move on to play the Suns, and you just, without even having to answer, that would make the Lakers play the Grizzlies. We both have the Lakers playing the Grizzlies, and obviously you got the Lakers.
The Grizzlies. Steamroll the Grizzlies.
Yeah, honestly, it's not even really that much of a conversation. It would be a destruction. LeBron, the starters will probably be sitting like with 3 minutes in the third quarter and not play the rest of the game. Like
I didn't disrespect that hard.
I think it's not even disrespect that. You gotta think about the amount of nonsense that's gonna come out of the media if the Lakers lose to the Warriors. The amount of LeBron slander, the amount of bubble fraud, the amount of like the it's just gonna be a whole bunch of slander coming the Lakers' way, and LeBron's gonna come out.
LeBron's gonna come out angry. Yeah,
they're gonna. It has nothing to do with the Grizzlies. Those are two of the best players in the league, and if they play at their highest level, it's nothing that the Grizzlies would be able to do to stop them. Mm-hmm. They're just not good enough.
The only thing that would
change would both have the Lakers, Warriors moving on into the playoffs. It's just who they would play. In our scenarios, we both have the Lakers moving on as the 8 seed to play the Jazz, which I honestly think internally LeBron would prefer. One, it gives him the narrative of I was an 8 seed that took my team to a championship. Two, it's a much easier first round than the Suns, in my opinion. But yeah, it would have LeBron and the Lakers at the 8 seed playing the number 1 seed Jazz, and Steph and the Warriors at the 7 seed playing the number 2 Suns. So that is how our playoffs would shape up. We're going to leave that right there. We will be back with you in a future episode to get into the playoff predictions.